Imagine a world where the smartest people, not the loudest, richest, or most photogenic, are the ones in charge. They don't campaign, they don't take bribes, they don't even want the job. They spent decades studying music, math, ethics, and the nature of the soul. They live simply, think deeply, and lead reluctantly. That's Plato's idea of justice. Not democracy, not aristocracy, something rarer, a government ruled by wisdom. Whether that sounds inspiring or ridiculous probably depends on how you feel about philosopher-kings. Welcome to The Great Conversation, a series where we unpack the big ideas that shaped Western civilization one book at a time. If you're not familiar with what The Great Conversation is, then check out episode 0. The link is down in the notes. So today, we're talking about The Republic by Plato. Part utopia, part mind game, part indictment of everything you thought was good. Plato was born around 428 BC in Athens. His family was wealthy and connected, the kind of people who end up running things or starting hedge funds. But Plato lived through Athens' slow motion collapse, war, coups, purges, and the death of its golden age. At the center of that chaos was one man, Socrates. Socrates didn't write a single word. Instead, he wandered around Athens asking awkward questions, exposing bad arguments, and irritating everyone in power. We can kind of imagine Socrates in the modern day. Think of a high IQ, brilliant guy who is too smart for his own good, is not trying to be a contrarian, but constantly goes around at parties challenging people who otherwise are not in the mood or who feel threatened by it all. Think of a guy who maybe doesn't do small talk, but then asks people if they think morality is objective while trying to watch a football game, or brings up free will at a barbecue. Eventually, they killed Socrates for corrupting the youth and impiety. Plato never got over it. The Republic is, in many ways, his revenge. It's his attempt to ask, what would a truly just society look like, and who should rule it? The central question of the Republic is simple. What is justice? Is it giving people what they deserve? Is it obeying the law? Is it something you do or something you are? Socrates, the main character in Plato's dialogues, starts by tearing down all the usual answers. Being just because it looks good, that's vanity. Being just because you fear punishment, well, that's cowardice. So instead of lecturing us, Plato offers a metaphor. He builds a fictional city from scratch. Why? Because sometimes it's easier to understand a big idea by zooming out. The city has three classes. There are the producers, who are the farmers, artisans, merchants, the economy, basically. There are guardians, the soldiers, the defenders, the muscle, so the army, the police. Then there are rulers. For Plato, these were the philosopher-kings. They were the mind. Each one of these three classes does one job and one job only. There's no moonlighting. There's no soldier by day, influencer by night. You're either a producer, a guardian, or a ruler, and you stay in your lane. And when every part does its own job without interfering with others, that, says Plato, is justice. So it's important to note that when Plato talks about justice, this is not in the sense of punishment or courtroom drama or the righting of a wrongdoing. For Plato, justice is a kind of an order. It's like a well-tuned instrument or a clean desk. Everything is in its proper place. Then Plato flips a metaphor. He says the individual soul is just like the imaginary city. You have the appetite, which wants food, money, sex, attention. There's the spirit. This is our pride, our ambition, our willpower. And then there is reason. This is the part that knows what's actually good for us. In most people, these three parts are at war. Desire pulls one way, pride pulls another, and reason is stuffed away in the closet. But in the just soul, well, there reason rules. Spirit backs it up, and desire falls in line. It's the same idea. Justice is inner harmony. So when you finally get things right, You finally stop wasting time. You find your path in life. You excel at it. It's not just productivity. That's Plato's version of justice. You could say that for Plato, justice is when the things are as they always were meant to be. Now about rulers. Plato's philosopher-kings are not powerful, rich old men with lots of power, earthly power, let's say. They are the ideal rulers. They go through decades of training. They do gymnastics for their body, music and poetry for the soul, mathematics and logic for the mind, and dialectic, pure philosophical reasoning. Then they get tested for discipline, loyalty, courage, and most importantly, their indifference to power. See, if you want to rule, you're disqualified. Plato's logic is simple. People who crave power will abuse it. The only ones you can trust with power are those who don't want it. So what does Plato think of democracy? Well, he hates it. To him, democracy is just the warm-up act for tyranny. When everyone does whatever they want, when there's no shared standard of truth or virtue, it leads to chaos. And in chaos, people will eventually beg for a strong man to come and take control. He even says that democratic man is ruled by his impulses, chasing pleasures, addicted to novelty, and allergic to discipline. So yeah, probably Plato wasn't a huge fan of letting the people decide. Interestingly, Plato bans the poets. Why? Because they mess with your head. He says poetry appeals to emotion, not reason. It distorts reality, celebrates chaos, and sets bad examples, especially Homer's epics, full of rage, lies, and gods behaving badly. So in Plato's ideal city, there's no Homer, there's no tragic plays, there's no free bird. Only state-approved, morally uplifting content. You could say Plato advocated for extreme censorship and cancel culture. So why do we still read Plato? Because The Republic is one of the most ambitious books ever written. It's not just about justice, it's about psychology, education, politics, truth, and the fate of civilizations. And its influence is everywhere. Augustine used Plato to build Christian theology. Freud repackaged his tripartite soul as id, ego, and superego. Every self-help book in the bookstore essentially owes Plato something when it comes to ideas for getting your life back together. So do arguments about rule by experts, technocracies, and elite gatekeeping. We're still trying to answer Plato's core question: who deserves to lead and why? So here's the one idea to remember. A just life is one in which reason rules over desire, both in the soul and in society. That's it. That's Plato's pitch. If reason is in charge, everything else falls into place. If not, well, enjoy the chaos. So, would you want to live in Plato's city? Wise rulers, no elections, no memes, no poets? Or is that just tyranny with a philosophy degree? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more dangerous ideas, forgotten books, and dead guys who still make you think, subscribe to The Great Conversation. I'm Wadu, coming to you from beautiful Paris. See you in the next one.